one thing I have to ask you, because I can't forget this. The synchronization with The Wizard of Oz.
Is bullshit.
Is it bullshit?
Yeah, of course it is. I mean, it may not be. It may be that
seems
if
like
you
the
do what
universe
they
aligned those
say,
two.
it may be if you do what they say, but it has nothing to do with us, any of us. Nothing to do with anyone in Pink Floyd or anyone who wrote or recorded any of the music. It's something that somebody thinks. So it's a coincidence of some time, and maybe it's cosmic coincidence, and it's true. I do like the story though of the cop in Louisiana following a bus, and it was weaving about the road a bit, and so he pulls it over. Young motorcycle cop, boom, puts the bike up on the stand, opens the door. Nearly falls over. There's so much smoke coming out through the bloody door. He goes in, it goes through, and he's trying to find people, with dope, because it's just full of marijuana smoke. And eventually gets to the back of the bus where there's a private compartment, and he opens the door and goes in, and there's Willie Nelson. And the story is that Willie Nelson is listening to Dark Side of the Moon and watching The Wizard of Oz on the TV. And I don't believe it for a minute, but I like the story.
Yeah, I don't even want to investigate that. I want it to be true. I don't want to find out it's not true. But I've watched it. I've watched The Wizard of Oz listening to The Dark Side of the Moon while high on marijuana. And if it's not on purpose, it is a cosmic coincidence, because it's kind of amazing. It's kind of amazing how it just flows.
I've heard the myth, and I've actually sort of seen how it works, and it's very impressive. But I mean, there are two elements to that. One is, who on earth spent that much time working with that track and that movie? And you could try it. You could probably try it with other records and other films. I mean, maybe Ben-Hur and the Wall would work.
Hey, 引き続き MTV モーストワンにお送りしてます。今日のゲストはレディオヘッドの皆さんです。いるでしょ？そしてですね、今回トムがカメラを回しているっていうことで。Do a good job, alright?
Yeah.
Okay. さて次の質問はですね、the next question comes from Madoka. So say hello to Madoka.
Hi, Madoka.
Hello, Madoka.
Hello.
She picked up the Romeo and Juliet CD and thought talk show host was great.
Yes, thank you.
Has the band always been interested in doing soundtracks?
Yeah, we don't kind of need the film normally, though, do we? No, we just have the soundtrack. I mean, I think a lot of OK Computer is actually a soundtrack to a film that wasn't made. But we're going to make it. That's the idea, anyway.
Oh. 結構変わってますよね。Is there any director that you want to work with in the future?
Director?
Yeah, director like, this is a bit different. But Trent Reznor's been working with this director, that director.
Well, like Anthony Minghella.
Yeah.
Anthony Minghella, the English Patient.
Fellini. Is Fellini dead? Probably. I can't think of anybody else. Probably
Woody
lots
Allen?
of people.
Woody Allen?
Yeah, I'll work with him.
I think it's more like what the film's about, really, I think, rather than the director, isn't it? I don't know.
So you get the script, and then you decide if you want to put a song in, or...
Well, sometimes,
people have sent a couple of scripts to Tom, haven't they? They've sent you some scripts.
Yeah, I get scripts all the time, but they usually cack.
But it's very hard to tell, though, isn't it? I mean, you can't tell until you see the finished film.
And she also wants to know, where does your sense of melody come from? I mean, the melody, like Radiohead, the melodies are so... They just stick in your ear, stay in your ear, you know?
I think, I don't have much of a sense of smell, so it's probably compensated by a sense of melody.
Oh.
What about you, Johnny?
Smell tunes, I think.
Yeah, you can smell tunes. I can definitely smell tunes.
Smell tunes with your ear.
Yeah. What's that called? There's a word for it. Synesthesia.
That's right.
When there's certain people, they see a colour, and it sounds like a musical note, where their senses are mixed up. 5 senses of taste, smell, hearing, touch. Or they touch something and it smells or something like that. And it's a psychological condition. It's pretty wild.
Is it like when I think in colors, right?
Right.
Does it have
I'm not sure if it's like no. I think it's different. It's like it's like the senses are mixed up.
You hear music and you see shapes.
Yeah.
Very clear shapes.
And I often sort of sit there and I'm seeing colours. I mean, most of this album was white, but not straight white. It was like mucky white. Like the sort of white you get when you try and Tipex something out on a page.
Oh, wow.
That sort of white.
And a lot of that stuff is, well, that kind of images is in the artwork that you were working on.
Yeah.
I mean, the artwork on this record, I think, is fantastic. I mean, it's a pity we don't have anything to show you now.
You'll be sick of it soon enough.
We hope.
We hope, yeah.
Okay, so it is groove generated, the sound
completely,
and the voice.
And then, and the riffs were coming basically out of that guitar, piano, bass, synth, and so a lot of it we took away and wrote to it afterwards. But it was born out of the fact that the sort of joy of just, just coming up with the grooves. And they weren't like. They weren't from cold. We'd start with some sort of mechanical programmed thing that I had to set us off.
Right.
So, which makes you, it forces these guys to play in a certain way. So you come like the meter, or where the one falls, or where the bass line starts is not where you would intuitively normally put it.
Right.
Which is good.
Yeah.
So it sets you off in a new place.
Right.
When you perform this album live, you start on Where This Flower Blooms. Usually, and it's like, is it a longer intro?
Yeah. So when this album, I wanted this album to sound like a Disney score, just like very magical, my perfect little indie movie and fucking wherever.
Sound like the album cover looks.
Yeah, sound like the album cover looks like, but it turned into, what it turned into. But Where This Flower Blooms, we had this really beautiful longer intro. I shortened it a bit, but it sounds like the beginning of a movie.
It's sweeping and
and I start the shows with that because it's like bringing them into my world, and then it drops and gets crazy. But yeah.
Wait, how long why did you trim it and not just like go? It's just by nature of it.
I just wanted to cut the fat. I wanted this album to be no longer than 45 minutes, and I think we hit like 45 and 36 seconds or 46 minutes, and I was like, okay, cool.
As short as
I
possible.
just wanted to be short and get to the point, and And the whole album was supposed to be about flowers and gardens.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what did you tell him?
The whole album was supposed to be about, every song was supposed to be about flowers and gardens, and so it was supposed to sound like a score, but it ended up changing, and this was one of the first songs finished, like Potholing, Dropping Seeds, and I was like, just rap about flowers and garden, trees, whatever.
Who did the guitar when it
Steve Lacy. I was like, come here, I got these chords. Come play these chords on the guitar. And he came, and then I was in my room just humming. Dun, 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 dun. And then I say Scumfuck Flower Boy, and it just all just mashes. And I shout out track 10 off the Skip Tracing album on that verse. And it just sounds like a sunset. And it sounds like defeat. But it's beautiful, and that's what I wanted to capture as the last song. And then I was like, no, I can't end it with that. This album needs the credits.
Oh, is that what? Oh, that's what sparked it.
And that's what Enjoy.
Because it was just like, that's over the. Okay, that makes.
Kid Cudi, let's hit right now, right up to the 21st century. How important was this record in the creating of Day and Night? Close Encounters of the
Third Kind. This movie was really something that we had on replay in the studio. We watched it without the sound, and one thing that's funny is that I have yet to hear the soundtrack. I'm actually gonna take this home if I can have this. No, but no, it was really important for us to have visuals in the background for inspiration while we were creating 808s and Heartbreak, and I kind of borrowed that little thing from Kanye, and you kind of used it for my project, and it worked,
I think Close Encounters of the Third Kind, but you also went all nice. You also were into the E.T., weren't you there, Kid Cudi?
Man, yeah. I mean, E.T. is a classic. It's another movie we watched. And, it's always good to have those visuals. And what made it ill is that, with no audio, you're kind of just looking at it and interpreting those scenes for what you think is happening. Well, you know the movie, so you know what's happening, but you're looking at other things now. You're not so focused on the words and the sound. You're just looking at the background and the cinematography. Yeah.
What's up? It's Esteban, and I'm hanging out with my man Mac Miller.
What up,
man? How you living?
Take one of these?
Yes, one of those.
Good, man. I just got in from London today.
Wow. What are you doing out there?
Press for this album that I have coming out called Watching Movies with the Sound Off.
Yes. Now let's talk about this album.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
First of all, let's talk about the title.
Yeah.
So watching movies with the sound off is something that directors and DPs and, you know, people who are into cinematography for like shot composition and framing and storytelling and stuff like that, they watch movies with the sound off for that reason. Why are you watching movies with the sound off?
What I want people to do, I want people to take my album, take different movies, play them with the sound off, and then play the music to accompany the movie. And you can see kind of how they complement each other. You know what I'm saying? Where this scene might be different now that you're playing this song, and this song might sound different now that you're watching that visual. So it's a lot about like the information and then how things appear to be and then what they really are. A bunch of stuff like that.
We have never met each other before. I'm a big fan of yours. I'm really excited to meet you.
Well, thank you.
Excited to be here.
I'm excited to meet you too. I'm also a big fan. From the very beginning, like Reservoir Dogs, your first movie, completely blew me away. Though I have a bone to pick with you. I have a bit of a beef because I used to really like the song "Stuck in the Middle" with you. And now I can't.
You always see Michael Madsen, all right?
Dancing around with a man's ear in his hand. Art, do you write to music? I heard you do that.
Yeah, I do actually. Oftentimes, what I'll do is when I'm thinking about what the next story could possibly be, that'd be right. I'll go into my record collection, and I go through them all, and then I start playing different songs.
This is vinyl?
Yeah. I mean, I can do CDs, but mostly it's vinyl. And it's like I'm looking for some pop songs or I'm looking for some soundtracks, and that's going to give me like the beat of the movie, the rhythm of the movie. Like say in something like Jackie Brown, it was like I started diving. Oh, thanks. I started diving through my soul music collection, and then just found what was exactly, you know, kind of what would be. This is the beat of the movie. This is the soul of the movie that I'm using. And that actually helps me, actually inspires me to kind of continue forward. And anytime I'm writing and I need to pick me up or I need to get plugged in again, I'll play some of the pieces of music that I'm thinking of using in the movie. And I'm literally in a movie theater in my head, and I'm seeing it on screen, and I'm seeing the scenes play out.
Well, that's one of the things that I really love about your movies is, you know, we might be actually seeing the way you see it in your head. I mean, it might be self-evident, but what I mean is, like, that clip just now, and when I watch your movies, it seems like I'm seeing something created by somebody who loves movies and at no point doesn't want us to know that it's a movie.
And this beautiful television has put me, like I said before, in all sorts of situations. I remember being very scared to it because an Icelandic poet told me that not like in cinemas where the thing that throws the picture from it just sends lights on the screen. But this is different. This is millions and millions of little screens who send a light on you, some sort of electrical light, I'm not really sure. But because there's so many of them, and in fact, you're watching very, very many frames when you're watching TV. Your head is very busy all the time to calculate and put it all together into one picture. And then, because you're so busy doing that, you don't watch very carefully what the program that you're watching is really about. So you become hypnotized. So all that's on TV, it just goes directly into your brain, and you stop judging if it's right or not. So you just swallow and swallow. This is what an Icelandic poet told me once. And I became so scared to television that I always got headaches when I watched it. But then later on, when I got my Danish book on television, I stopped being afraid because I read the truth. And that's the scientific truth, which is much better. You shouldn't let poets lie to you.